Hello everybody, welcome to another video. There was a video before this one and there will be another one after this one. So today I've had this thing on my mind for the past couple days and I want to talk about it just briefly. This is probably not going to be a very long video and I don't have much of a point here. But I was watching YouTube videos about the economy and the state of the country and everything. And in one of those videos, there was this TikTok, and I don't have TikTok, so I'm not going to go looking for it. And I don't want to blast this girl anyway, like on the internet. But it was this TikTok of a young woman. She said she was 21 years old, and she was living in her car for the first time. And I was 19 or 20 when I started living in my car for the first time. So in the video, she was just very upset. You could tell that she was trying to hold it together. She was describing, what her future was going to be like. She was like, this is going to be character building. This is going to teach me so many skills. It's going to make me so funny. And she was like holding back tears as she was saying this stuff. And that video made me a little emotional because that's kind of the way that I was thinking when I was that age and I was first living in my car. It is a surreal experience when you do it for the first time. You realize you don't have anywhere to sleep tonight and you're sleeping in your car. And then you realize that's probably going to be happening for the next foreseeable future. And it's a very strange realization to make. It's a moment where you have to grieve a life that you thought you were going to have, and now you don't have it. Now you have the life that you have, whether you like it or not, and this is the life that you're going to have to live. And it's just very, very sad seeing other people go through that and going through the stress of it because I know what that's like. I know what that stress is like, trying to figure everything out on my own, trying to not feel like a failure or like disgusting or gross, and just trying to make myself feel comfortable and right in the world. What I found really interesting about that video is that the things that she was predicting for her future are things that happened to me. Like, I was sad watching it, but at some point I was like, oh my God, yes, you're so right. It is going to build character. It is going to make you funny. You're going to have so many stories to tell. I am 28 years old. I've been living in my car for about 8 or 9 years, and I have so many stories to tell. I've learned so many skills. I've learned so many things to save money, to stretch the dollar. I know how to take care of my car. I drive very safe now. There's all these things, and I'm funny. I've always been funny, but I'm even funnier now. Now that I have, lived an unusual life and I've seen some shit, I've got lots of stories to tell, and I've got lots of humor. And it's not like I necessarily want to get out of this situation, but I think that if you have a good attitude, if you're living in your car and you have a good attitude about it, you can get out of the situation eventually. Personally, I'm waiting for the housing market to get better. I'm waiting for the economy to get better and for jobs to start paying better and treating their employees better before I really rejoin the traditional workforce and try to get an apartment or a home of some kind. Until that happens, I'm perfectly content living like this. But I didn't always feel that way. Only in the past few years have I really felt like it's actually okay if I continue this for a few more years. Here's the thing, a lot of people are living in their cars now. A lot of people are going to continue going into their cars and living in their cars because they're not being able to make rent. They're getting evicted. Their landlord is raising the rent and they can't pay it anymore. And so they get kicked out in favor of the next tenant. And there's only so many places you can go if you're tied down to a job or especially a career, and you get fired or you get evicted from your place, and now you've got to move somewhere within commuting distance that's cheaper, or at least just as cheap as the place you were just at. And there's certainly places in the US you could go to get affordable housing. There's certainly places in the US you could go to get affordable housing, but they're so rare, they're so remote, they're so out of the way, nobody knows how to find them. And there's not enough of those for everybody to go around, right? So affordable housing is just scarce right now, and people are gonna be living in their cars. And honestly, I feel a little bit fulfilled in the fact that I have been doing this for a long time, and that it might be possible for me to give people advice and help them, and at least, calm the fears, right? Because I know it's a scary experience. I know, like, it's surreal. You don't really know what's going to happen, and your picture for your life has completely changed, and it's hard to feel good about that. You want to grieve, you want to mourn the life that you thought you were going to have, and you feel like a failure. I get it. Like, it sucks. I've been through all of that, and over the course of 8 or 9 years, I've gotten over those feelings for the most part, and now I feel confident. I feel like I just live an alternative lifestyle, and as difficult as it is, it's not really my fault it's difficult. It's like the freaking cops, the road police, the people that make it difficult to, stay living in your car legally, right? Like, it should absolutely be legal to live in your vehicle, but there's laws preventing it. There's laws about car registration and your license and everything that are very difficult to keep up with when you live in a vehicle and you don't have, like, a friend that has an address, or you don't have a mailbox or things like that. But here's the thing, as long as you have a job, you can live in your car indefinitely with very little problems if you do it right. And I think there are some very smart people out there that are going to figure out how to do that. They're going to figure out how to maintain their jobs, because I can't do that. That's why I ask for money on the internet. And that's why I'm trying to, make money through YouTube. But the people that can have a job while they're living in their car, if the stress is too much, try to find your financial support somewhere else if you need to for a little while. Get on the food stamps and everything to help out as well. But ultimately, as long as you have, like, a solid income, you will be okay. You can make improvements to the vehicle, you can keep yourself clean, you can keep yourself fed and watered and entertained, and you can save money because you're not going to be paying rent and bills. You're just going to be paying for your car. If you maintain it properly, you stay up to date with the oil changes, and, my car is 10 years old. I've been driving this car for 10 years, for over 10 years now, just a little bit over 10 years. And, it's had some issues. It's been through like 5 batteries. It's been through like 8 sets of tires. I had the whole engine replaced one time because I rear-ended somebody and totaled it. And, these are just things that you have to prepare for. But it's similar to, like, if a tree gets hit by lightning and falls on your house or something. Emergencies like that can happen to your home, regardless of what kind of home you have. So it's just a matter of, which challenges are going to be the most bearable, right? Can you bear to spend all of your money on rent and bills and live paycheck to paycheck and deal with shitty landlords and them not doing the maintenance in your apartment and all of this stuff and having to walk down to the, can you deal with that? Or can you deal with your car breaking down every once in a while, and then, you may have to tow it and pay for that. You may have to find a place to sleep. You may have to get into a hotel if your car is not, if you can't sleep in it, that kind of thing. There's different challenges, but ultimately, if you treat your car like it is just a home that you own, especially if your car payments are done and you do own your vehicle, treat it like your house, and you'll find that it makes a fine house. It's just small, but because it's so small and it's on wheels, it's cheap. It's cheap. You pay taxes, you pay insurance and stuff like that, but it's way cheaper than rent. It's way, way cheaper than rent. Even when the repair costs come around, it's going to end up being cheaper overall. By a lot. This year, for this car, I've spent, let me think, it's August right now. How much have I spent on this car? I spent $1,500 on repairs a couple weeks ago, and then another $90 for an oil change, which is crazy, by the way. But they were also, like, checking my coolant and stuff. So, $1,500 plus $90 plus whatever I spent on gas, that's really not much. That's significantly less than you would pay. That's like a couple months of rent at an apartment, right? And it's already August, right? So way cheaper to live this way. Just keep remembering that. As long as you are bringing in money, you can save it. I'm not bringing in enough money to save it all the time. I do my best to save, but then typically something happens where I need to spend that money, and that's kind of what emergency funds are for. And typically I don't have enough to cover it fully, whatever emergency it is, so I do have to raise money, and that can take a few days. That's just my situation. I don't have a job, I don't work, and I'm trying to make money on the internet. And that makes it a lot more difficult for me. But again, if you have a job, you're way better off. You're going to be able to save money. And you're not going to be living this lifestyle for very long if you don't want to. What I realized over the years is that I actually want to live this way because it's better than trying to rejoin the workforce and get into an apartment and all of that stuff. It's just a better lifestyle for me. So I stick with it until the other lifestyle becomes better in my eyes. And it really depends. It really depends on what happens in the future. So yeah, I remember when I was 19, 20, 21 years old, you know, the first few years living in my car, and I didn't know what was going on, and I needed to make some changes very quickly and adapt to the situation very quickly. And look, I'm on the other side of this experience. I'm still in it, but that's by choice, and I'm doing fine. Like, I did really learn a lot. I don't regret my years living in my car. I regret very little when I think back to how much I've learned and how much I've grown from my experiences. Difficult experiences, you know, if you find yourself in difficult circumstances, just believe in your own strength to get through it. It's going to be painful, and it's going to be very scary, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. It is very sad to me that there's so many people starting to live in their cars in recent years because of the housing market and the economy just completely crashing. It's very sad. I don't, I enjoy having like a community in that way. I wish that everybody that lived in their vehicle chose to live in their vehicle. But that's not the reality of the situation. A lot of people are out here terrified. A lot of young people that are just, getting out of their parents' house. They don't know how to live an adult life. Maybe they weren't properly prepared for it. Maybe they were told advice on how to live in a world that doesn't exist anymore. And, or maybe their parents just didn't know how to help them get ready for adult life. And, their parents won't let them live with them, or, their parents would make them pay rent as well, and they just can't afford it. That kind of thing. That's happening all the time in America, and we're really struggling. There's going to be a lot more homeless people. And frankly, I'm just glad that people have cars, because otherwise they would be on the streets. So, and that would be way, way worse. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I just saw that video a couple days ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And what really struck me about it is the fact that everything she was predicting for her future, even though she was so terrified, she was making true predictions that will probably come true. It is character building. You do learn skills, you learn resilience, you get stronger for it, you become funnier, and you come out of the experience with a lot of interesting stories. Like, if I ever have kids, they're gonna get some crazy stories. They're gonna get some crazy dad stories from this time in my life. And why would I regret that? There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not doing anything immoral. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not doing anything that hurts anybody else except for maybe the rich elites, but who cares, right? All right, like the video if you liked it, sub for more like this, check out my other videos if you're interested, and thank you so much for watching, and have a peaceful day.